Hi, hi Sri.
ఇంకా
ఓ
వరకు
ఓకే వీళ్ళు జాయిన్ కాలేదా
కంప్లీట్ జస్ట్ నిన్న పింక్ చేస్తున్నా ఒక్క నిమిషము.
ఓకే ఓకే.
అందుకే అడిగాను. టుడే ఐ మీన్ యాక్టివిటీ
అవునా.
అదేను. ఒక్క నిమిషం నేను సునీల్ అడుగుతాను. ఏమైనా యాక్టివిటీ అని ఏం యాక్టివిటీ? అవునండి, నాకు ఎక్కడ కూడా ఉఫ్, ఎట్లా పోతాను వర్క్?
హలో. ఏం శ్రీ నాకేనా?
వర్క్ ఎలా పోతా ఉంది అంటున్నా.
వర్క్ బాగానే అవుతుందండి.
స్నోఫ్లేక్ కదా మనం చేసేది మామూలుగా.
స్నోఫ్లేక్ అండి, స్నోఫ్లేక్ డీబీటీ ఎక్కువ. డీబీటీ.
నాకు గుర్తుంది, మీరు చెప్పారు స్నోఫ్లేక్ డీబీటీ అండ్
ఎయిర్ ఫ్లో.
ఎయిర్ ఫ్లో. గుర్తుంది, నాకు గుర్తుంది. మార్కెట్ డౌన్ ఉన్నట్టుంది బాగా.
డౌన్ ఉందండి. అంటే ఆపర్చునిటీస్ కనిపిస్తాయి కానీ గోస్టింగ్ ఎక్కువ ఉంది.
అదే 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 అంటున్నాను నేను. ఇక్కడ మెయిన్ యాక్చువల్గా ఎన్నున్నా కూడా ఇది ఎండ్ ఆఫ్
ఇన్ఫ్లేషన్ కూడా అలాగే ఉంది కదా, సో నాకు తెలిసి ఇంకా
ఎందుకు
నెక్స్ట్.
ఇలాంటి టైంలో బూస్టింగ్ పెట్టడం అనేది చాలా తప్పు యాక్చువల్గా.
యా.
అంతే కదా ఇప్పుడు.
అంటే ఇంకా వాళ్ళు చేసేది కూడా ఇంకేం చేయలేరు. అంటే పైన గవర్నమెంట్ బడ్జెట్ రిలీజ్ అయిపోతే ప్రాజెక్ట్స్ ఉండవు, ప్రాజెక్ట్ రిలీజ్
ఆ,
చేయకపోతే ప్రాజెక్ట్ లేకపోతే.
దానివల్ల దానివల్ల పాపం ఎంతమంది హోప్ పెట్టుకుంటారు కదా అంకట్.
యా యా, చాలా మంది. ఇంకా
ఎంతమంది హెచ్ఎంబి మీద వచ్చి హోప్స్ పెట్టుకొని.
అది ఇప్పుడైతే.
Anyway, okay. Okay, let us start.
ఓకే.
So what we discussed in the previous class is, I remember we discussed about the clustering and micro partitioning, correct? No?
ఎస్.
So the clustering is one of the optimization feature that can help us to create a cluster K on top of specifically on the where class columns, most frequently used columns in the where class. So every table Snowflake will divide into a group of micro partitions. So our objective is to how can we reduce the number of partitions that will be scanned by the Snowflake query engine, so that will reduce the compute cost. And there are some certain best practices to select the cluster keys also. So do you remember any of few best practices? Any one or two? What is?
కార్డినాలిటీ.
Hmm.
కార్డినాలిటీ కాల్.
So that correct. You have to see the cardinality. Like for example, gender and then gender columns, state columns, which are most frequently used in the where class, we need to use them in the
Clustering key.
cluster keys. And we can create sometimes a composite cluster keys also. So the composite
Okay.
cluster key also will try to improve the performance. Sometimes
Yeah.
single cluster key not helpful. We need to try with composite cluster keys also.
Yeah.
So the micro partitioning is not we are going to do, which is already performed by Snowflake. And on top of that, we apply this clustering concept. So that is basically which one of the best practice people follow. And apart from this, as per the database activities, there is a concept called database replication and failover. I want to discuss about this today. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi,
Yes.
Sunil.
Yeah, yes.
Hello. Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Okay. Good. 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 Sharing my screen. Let me know if you are able to see. So generally, right, if I ask what is database replication, you may already may have done, right, Sunil, as a DBA? Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
So what usually you do in as of now, I think you are using a SQL Server, right?
Oracle, SQL, Postgres.
Okay. So what you do as part of a database and replication? Generally,
Yeah, it is a replica of primary database.
primary database and secondary database, and you try to point to the secondary if primary is not available. Correct, no?
Correct. Yeah, failover means yes. If it is primary is not available, will failover stand as a primary.
Exactly. So this is basically what generally you do. You follow the same here also. But here in Snowflake, since it is a cloud database, and we go with account to account application.
Account.
So account one organization may have multiple accounts also, right?
Yes.
A organization which we generally, when you are creating any Snowflake account at enterprise level, you create first an organization. In the organization, we create one or more accounts. So why we have to create one or more accounts also is the Snowflake environment, which in a enterprise company may not be used by only one team. Every team will have their own client, their own like separate budget for maintaining Snowflake projects. So some scenarios they will create a separate accounts also. But at the same time, when you are creating separate accounts, it doesn't mean that you need to use that in a single account. And we have to create a separate account to segregate and manage easily. So most of the projects will be they'll use their own accounts, and one organization admin will maintain them generally. There is a role called org admin. The org admin will come into picture when if you have multiple accounts need to be managed. Generally, not every company will maintain like that. Anytime you want to maintain that, you need that. So what is a replication? A replication is going to create a consistent copies of your Snowflake objects across multiple Snowflake accounts here. And this replication will allow us the accounts to reside in the different geographical regions also. So region wise, you will try to replicate your data, and I may have one account in the Asia Pacific Mumbai region and one more account in the Asia Pacific Singapore region. So you need to replicate the data. So replication will go and help us in, as you mentioned, you are right, the data will be replicated in the different regions, and we try to leverage them whenever there is some disaster will happen. And the replication also, the accounts which will we will enable the accounts to reside on the entirely different cloud providers also. AWS, you will have separate account, Azure separate account, GCP separate account. Plus, a replication will operate incrementally, and it will transfer only the changed data to save the bandwidth and compute. So replication will be performed incremental data only. It is not going to copy the entire data. How we saw like the incremental data loading. Similar to that, the replication also will be performed as a incremental activity. So any particular DBA, they need to follow whatever you see in this diagram. So whenever there is some outage detected, they definitely need to go and perform the primary and secondary account, and the replication should be like already might have in place. Then they need to move from primary to secondary. So in the region wise. So every DBA will experience this, correct? No? They will experience some health checks will be failed, and there will be an alert which will be triggered like the database is down, there's a outage. So in that scenario, we need to have a alert monitoring, or else we cannot know, right? Generally, without an alert, we cannot even go and find out whether the database is up or down, correct or not?
Yeah.
We should have all in place. Then only you can go and manage. As soon as you receive a notification that database is down a particular region, then immediately you have to take an action. The DBA has to initiate the failover, and then they have to move from primary to secondary account. Secondary will become the new primary DB, correct or not? And until the primary region will be up, all the applications will be pointed to the new primary database, which was actually the secondary DB. So as part of this process, as a DBA, the responsibility of every DBA is they have to monitor the replication health as well most of the time, because sometimes the replication may not successful also, correct? No? What happens if it is not successful? Your data will not properly also will be visible, right? Yes or no? The failover process also, the replication process should be also successful, right? The primary and secondary should be in sync. Or else what happens? The user will not see the right information as well. So we as a DBA, we need to go and keep an eye on all these databases which are available in the environment, and we need to act according to the scenario. So the DBA not only go and move the primary to secondary, they also need to do the role transition as well. The role transition need to be automatically, they have to go and move to the org admin, and they have to do all this stuff. Or if account admin have the privilege, they can also do. So coming to like the application, like redirection, which will happen finally, the DBA is responsible for need to develop and test the failover plans also, and they also need to perform the post like failover validations also, and also need to cross check the regulatory like regular simulations and the post failure audits. There are so many activities every DBA will perform as part of this particular the replication process. So when you are replicating, we are going to achieve all these particular activities. So when to replicate and failover, the majorly any disaster recovery is going to happen. Business continuity will be like having some interruptions. Especially banks will experience this. Maybe some weather conditions may go and give that proper problem. Network may give some problems, and a global distribution. So that also will give some sometimes data distribution will give some challenges. and data monetization sharing also. Most of these particular scenarios, you need to go and replicate your data, and sometimes you want to test the performance as well. Correct, no? When you are testing the performance, also you have to change primary and secondary, no? Yes or no? Because it is not like only primary will work, give better performance, and secondary will not give. We have to cross check with both. When something goes wrong and you are switching to like secondary from primary, primary and secondary should give the same performance. That should not deviate. And application testing also, and migration. When you are performing this new application, you are testing also, you need to use this the replication, and you have to test it with failover as well. And the important thing, the regulatory compliance also. You need to satisfy the data residency laws to country wise, and store the data within the specific geographical region as well. When you are storing the data in a particular geographical region, you need to follow that particular region regulatory rules as well. Because the local auditing, all this should be strictly followed according to the government law. So you need to test, your test will not be same for every region, correct or not? Do you people agree that? Since your rules will not be same, your regulatory related validations also will be different. Singapore will have different, UK will have different, India will be different. So those things we need to keep in mind. And also how to manage this failover, there are some best practices like where you need to adopt the automatic failover, where you need to go and automate this process in most of the cases, so that the human errors will be avoided, and accelerate the recovery time during the incident, because the recovery time may sometimes will be more when you are using this kind of this failover management. You should try to leverage some best practices to optimize the recovery time, and need to focus on how to reduce the latency, and conduct the regular disaster recovery drills also. People do that. Do you know that in most of the banks, especially international banks, every year they will try to wantedly ask the employees not to connect to test this disaster recovery. Do you know that this business continuity test to perform, every bank will ask the employees not to connect on a particular day, wantedly. Do you know that, both of you? Yes or no?
Yeah,
And
that's right. Right.
will also,
Every
the users also will get some
every
guarantees.
financial institution will do, right? That is a regular practice every year people do. So to
Every year, annually, yeah.
every annually they'll do that, because as part of the like regulatory plans and all, you have to do that, or else you cannot. In something goes wrong, you cannot go and react. No, you should know if something goes wrong, how to
They are
react.
drills actually.
DR
It's
drill.
like a drill.
It's like a
Yes,
drill,
yes.
correct? Just like a
It's
rehearsal.
yearly ones.
Just like a rehearsals, you have to do that. And replication lag also you have to monitor, because it is not like every time whatever the replication time and failure time will be same. You need to monitor it by using the account usage schema, and need to see if the unexpected latency will be there. That should not be, because the business may be depending on your replication process and failure management also. So we should definitely proactively monitor what is happening. If you don't do that, if something goes wrong, you will be need to ready to answer. And second thing is like secure the replication traffic also, because you have to use all the valid encrypted channels between the accounts to create the security controls also, and you also need to use the virtual private and virtual networks to monitor and where applicable to keep the security. And the resource monitors. I discussed about resource monitors, right? In the previous classes.
Yeah.
So a
Right.
resource monitor is very important to monitor the credit limits also, so that any secondary warehouses are there, you need to keep an eye, because that is going to prevent the unexpected spending also. So all these are best practices where a DBA can use to make or manage their failover effective. So as a DBA, I need to follow the best practices, plus not only when you are replicating, and at the same time when you are implementing the failover also. Both are important. I cannot go and skip one process by prioritizing another process. Both are equally important. Okay. So why we need to replicate the data? Because the disaster recovery is very important to protect the 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 customer environment. So we definitely need to replicate the data. And the second thing is data sharing. So live data need to be shared. So live data is sometimes if suddenly something goes wrong, the users who are working on the real-time dashboards will experience. The challenge is to accept the data, live data. So replication, instead of sharing the live data, replication will save your time. And account migration, this is also one of the very important process where we go and migrate the entire Snowflake account to the different cloud provider without significant downtime. This happens when you go with cloud to cloud migration, like AWS to Azure, Azure to GCP, like that. So this will make your entire environment stable, because you are completely migrating everything. So replication is very important when you are moving from one region to another region and one cloud to another cloud generally. I hope you are following. So business continuity, BCDR principle. So business continuity is very prioritized process in most of the banks and financial institutions, and restoring the IT infrastructure as part of the disaster recovery will be one of the very important process to keep the data after any crisis. If you don't have data, your applications will be going to impact. And Snowflake guarantees the high availability within a single region, and replication will extend the high guarantee to the multiple regions and multiple cloud architectures also. So I saw very limited number of times Snowflake was down. Correct, no? I saw Snowflake was down. Maybe I think almost a year or 1.5 year back, I saw one time Snowflake went down in UK region, especially. I was using, and suddenly my account was not stopped functioning, and later I observed that there was a downtime in the region. Because I remember still, because that was happened during my training. When I was giving some training, it happened in between. I was unable to show what I was intended to show.
You mean that is planned downtime? They already given a notification, or
No, it is sudden unplanned downtime.
unplanned outage?
Unplanned outage. That too, not too much time. It went for 10 to 15 minutes, I think. But the
Gotcha.
10 to 15 minutes
Around,
time was also. Huh?
yeah. Around like 1.5 year back, if few people remember, for half a day, Azure was down. Microsoft Azure was
Microsoft
down.
Teams also
So
was down. I remember. So that's what
it's
I'm
like
saying.
half,
I remember.
yeah,
Not once, right?
half day it is. It
It
is
not
a
once.
large.
No, not once. It went to twice or thrice also. I remember. The entire
Yeah,
team.
twice or thrice, but one time I remember, like half day we got we got leave actually
I know. Yeah, yeah,
when
yeah.
I
Even
was in
AWS
Deloitte.
also went down. I think last 2 months back, right?
Yeah. AWS, means I experienced Azure Act at that time.
No,
We
no.
were
Recently
working on
also. Recently,
Azure.
AWS also went
Yeah.
down. Recently.
Okay. Yeah.
So
So,
every cloud cannot go and rely on AI. No.
right, right.
Directly, I can't go and rely on AI. If it rely on AI, it will become like a robo mode.
Mm,
Correct? No.
right,
It will take its
right.
own decision. No.
Mm,
100% you cannot believe on AI because AI can do something provided someone need to validate it. I cannot go
yeah.
and 100% rely on AI and I can relax. If something goes wrong,
Right,
we will
right.
definitely need to pay, right? That is the reason
Mm, right.
AWS reputation went down a little bit also compared to last 2 3 months. Seriously, because I saw that
Right. Yeah.
there is
Mm,
some down. It went down because of that particular reason. And Azure, if you go on platform specifically, right?
mm,
Now, Databricks, cloud platforms, Databricks and Snowflake are fighting.
mm,
But Azure and then AWS are almost both are in same level.
right.
Because GCP is that is totally different planet. We
Right.
can't touch it because GCP is not everybody use, but most of the banks they will not prefer GCP. They feel that that is a public cloud.
Correct.
Yeah, because one of my previous bank which I worked in Singapore, when I suggested them, they said
Mm,
they will not going to touch GCP because it's a public cloud. So they finally agreed for AWS that time.
mm, right.
So GCP also that is the reason they have very less number of regions and less number
Customers. Right.
customers also because they are connected to the throughout the entire universe now.
Mm,
So
yeah.
there is a data leakage happens, the entire universe will see that. That is the reason maybe the customers are not.
Researchers, yeah, different industry like researchers, those kind of industries, they'll prefer Google Cloud only better than AWS Azure.
Ha. Agree,
More
but
of this Azure
uh,
and AWS are more like commercial things.
correct, exactly. That is
For machine learning things, it's better for going for Google Cloud
exactly
most
that
of
is
them.
totally correct because most of the research engineers also they go with the Google Cloud only because that is giving more features compared to AWS and Azure because AWS and Azure both are they have their own ML features and AI features, but there is not people still started like exploring more like in deep.
Yeah, that is useful for end users like
Exactly. So even I am
commercial
using
oriented.
even I used
Google is for like
AWS.
real engineers, something more
Exactly.
of
Even I used a SageMaker, AWS SageMaker for machine learning, but comparatively, when I saw Snowflake features and Databricks features are better than that. Because
mm,
AWS, the SageMaker is only suitable for AWS services. Like if I want to
okay.
go, integrate outside and all, it is not easy.
Mm,
If you go to
okay.
Databricks and Snowflake, they also their own platforms, but they have end-to-end solutions inside, and you can
Mm,
also go and connect to the other external tools also.
third
That is
parties. Okay.
comparatively they are better than AWS SageMaker and Azure ML Studio.
All right.
So
Okay.
AI side, Azure is now a little bit doing better than AWS.
Okay.
Most of the AWS AI services in Azure are
Mm,
very optimized and advanced than AWS AI services.
okay.
Yeah,
Mm.
so
Azure
uh,
Foundry, right?
Azure Foundry, whatever, the Copilot, many things, right?
Okay. Mm,
AWS also they are trying to do something, but they are in AI side they are very behind.
okay.
If you see, there are from Google and AWS, they built softwares called Google said anti-gravity, AWS said Kiro. These are just like
Mm,
similar to the Visual Studio Code editors, but these
mm,
editors are AI integrated editors, generative AI. If you go and want to
Yeah.
go and ask something, right, to generate, it will generate and give you end-to-end solution. Assume I want
Hmm.
a end-to-end automated chatbot for supply chain.
Hmm.
If I go and ask, right, these editors will try
Hmm.
to create the end-to-end code and give you. You can execute simply. You do
Hmm.
not even need to depend on any developer also.
Yeah.
So, but the only thing is that the enterprise companies will not going to allow that.
Correct.
Yeah, because they feel that they may like leak some data. The
Hmm.
data sensitive data, maybe they will go and they feel that there might be some problem with security of the data. So
Hmm.
that is where
Right.
now the market is running, right? So everywhere the region wise you can federal, you can replicate, but the only thing is the company wise they have to allow that. The company has to allow
Hmm.
you to use that and allow to automate the process also. So this particular BCDR, like business continuity and disaster recovery, it is not every time will happen, no? Once in a while. So if at all
Right.
you want to automate this process also, how you can go and every time you test it, correct or not? The
Correct.
automation you want to test it continuously, I cannot go and stop the business every time.
Stop it. Hmm. Hmm.
I can't disturb the regular business hours, right?
Right.
Yeah, you should have a separate environment similar to whatever the production, and you need to go and test it, and you have to go and follow the corresponding BCDR principles and all, and you need to finish the testing also. And coming to this recovery
Right.
point objective and recovery time objective, this particular uh, terminology, this will be used when you want to go and how fresh the data is standby and how fast you can fail over. These kind of things will be calculated by using these two, like RPO and RTO. If in Snowflake, RPO is basically controlled by the replication schedule frequency, and RTO will be controlled by the how much fast your failover execution and majorly. So if
Okay.
someone wants to calculate all these RPO and RTO also, they have to go according to the replication as well as failover processes. So generally, when you are replicating, these are all we go and consider, and how much amount of data loss happened in a particular time, how fresh your data. This usually can be calculated using the recovery point objective generally. And coming to like RTO and all, as I mentioned, how fast you can fail over. That is the main important like thing which you have to calculate when you are dealing with this failover. And coming to like implementation and all, so region wise, AWS, Azure, and GCP, I can go in the same region. Replication or account to account may be different, but I can go with AWS to Azure or Azure to GCP also. So the replication will have happen sometimes account to account, which are in same region in Snowflake, or it can be AWS same region to AWS region, or it can be sometimes AWS to Azure region also. But that too depends upon how you can replicate the data, that you have to decide. Here, if you see replicate from AWS US East to Azure West Europe without external ETL tools. So that is people will look for, right? See, to migrate the data also, if you need to use so many processes and tools, which may take so much amount of time, if that can be achieved through Snowflake replication, region replication, and cloud replication, people will prefer this only, no? Correct or not?
Yeah.
So generally, this is going to help and this is going to save your time also. That is where you have to like focus more. And coming to like tools wise, so every cloud have its own tools, as I mentioned. You like to enable this uh, specializations like machine learning, AI. AWS is having SageMaker, as I mentioned earlier, and Google as Vertex AI. So these particular tools also can help us to validate and then estimate or predict when to do replication and all. So on the respective cloud. So people are building some applications to predict the replication frequency also. How frequent you have to replicate, what is the best time, and how much failover time may happen, how much time it may take for the disaster recovery. So some applications people are building to manage this database replication failover also. So in any environment, any organization, this replication process need to be done according to the like demand. So cross region capability should be there, because cross region in the sense the regions are not same. So one region failed, it will be pointed to the other region. So this particular acceptance or sign off should be there, because as a DB I cannot take all decisions, right? Because the cost also will be involved. Because sometimes complaints also will be the complaints team also will not be ready, because local data they don't want to go with other regions. Correct, no? See, maybe my Singapore may not be ready to copy their data to UK region, right? Yes or no? And UK may not be ready to copy their data to some other region. So when you're replicating, you have to take some kind of approvals also. So when we are doing cross region replication and all, you have to think about all these aspects as well. You cannot blindly do that, because the teams are not like earlier, right? Now the team is distributed globally. The teams are sitting in different places. So that may also help us. If my team is sitting in a different region, so the latency also can be reduced, right? Correct or not?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that everything depends upon how you collaborate during this application process and how your team is going to respond on time also. Okay. And before like Snowflake, when they started initially, so they were allowing only single database replication, and where we were manually creating users, rows, all this process. Now, in the modern Snowflake environment, we can perform the full account application also, not like only one database. I can go
Okay.
and the account to account replication directly I can do. But initially they were not supporting this. Now they are supporting a full account replication, including the metadata, the entire account from one particular account to secondary account. Not only data, users, roles, network policies, everything, databases, everything I can migrate or replicate, whatever it is. So that is how the modern Snowflake environment is helping us to replicate all these database objects. What you see, I can replicate whatever see all these databases, CMAS tables, views, everything. And security side, you can replicate users, roles, grants, and network policies and security integrations, all this. And the compute objects like virtual warehouses and resource matters also I can migrate. So database to database, when you are replicating primary to secondary, you also need to replicate, and there are tables types. If you see, we have like permanent, transient, and temporary tables. You can exclude them, because it is not important to replicate temporary and transient tables, because temporary tables will be automatically deleted, and the transient tables are not even critical also. Only the standard normal tables need to be replicated. Any other types of tables which are not important, we can skip them. And external tables are required additional manual setup, because the region changes, the bucket location changes. Correct, no? You know what is the external table? By any chance?
Yeah. It points to lake house or something.
It points to the S3 bucket location. For
S3
example,
bucket, yeah. Lake
so my
house or
files will be
S3
my
bucket.
files will be sitting in the S3 bucket location. So if suddenly my region changes, my bucket location changes, right?
Right.
So when you change from one region to another region, you should change that particular region bucket.
Right.
So you need to change the integration, and you need to go and create the when you are pointing to that particular bucket, the integration may need to change, right? Suddenly,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
need to reconfigure it, and I need to recreate the stage, and if there is any like external tables connected to that particular S3 bucket, you also need to refresh them as well. Alter table,
Yes.
table name refresh you have to do.
Right.
So these are all you have to do when you replicate one database on the database also. So now most of the people when they are replicating, they will not 100% test it. So we need to consider all this in mind when you are replicating from one account to another account generally. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Because as a DBA, it is not every time we will go and uh, focus on most of the areas, but some areas when you are replicating and performing failover and all, we need to validate 100% thoroughly, or else that is going to impact the business continuity also. And replicating the roles and whatever the grants
Yeah.
available, this is also very important. If you miss them, the access will go unstuck for most of the users.
Right.
Yeah, that is very important. Not only databases, you also need to replicate the roles, users, and grants, and warehouses also, because most of the warehouses, whatever you go and even replicate, sometimes there will be auto resume and auto suspend will be there. So in the secondary warehouse, they may be suspended. So
Okay.
we need to see whether we need to resume or suspend also according to the situation. And when you create it, it's not immediately required also, right? To start it.
Right.
So if you copy it will suddenly started state, and which is not required, so that is
Hmm.
going to cost you. So we need to cross check whether what is the status of the warehouses I replicated, and if they are running, we need to suspend them also, because anyway authorization will be enabled for them. If not, enable auto suspend also. That is very important,
Yeah.
because all these are generally we follow, but just to keep a note, and we need to verify the integrations, as I was mentioning, the storage integration, security integrations, and Git API integrations also need to be migrated, because nowadays we can integrate the Git repositories also, correct? No, by using Snowflake.
Yeah.
I can storage integrations anyway, we can do that. Security integrations also we can go and replicate, but whenever you are you're replicating integrations, the mapping need to be also changed, because then the region changes, your integration related objects also will be going to unavailable. So all these need to be, we need to make sure that we need to ensure that they are rightly mapped. And resource monitors, this is very important. When you are using resource monitor to monitor your warehouses or at account level or warehouse level, when the account changes, you also need to change the new account to be reflected, because replication, the resource monitors is going to help us to monitor the warehouses. The consumption, if any warehouse is meeting the or reaching the quota, 50% credits or 60% credits, we can go and try to suspend the warehouse or stop the queries that are running. So all these need to be replicated in the secondary account also. If you're not going to do that, you cannot go and get the right monitor features, and your resource monitors going to fail what they have to do. So you will end up with unbound compute usage also, and your billing will grow. These are all required because the particular resource monitors are very very commonly used feature to monitor the warehouses. Clear?
Yeah.
So the replication process requires not only just apply the replication, you also need to cross check all these as part of your replication process. and what replicated, and you need to ensure everything is replicated successfully. And you should have a checklist also, correct? No, how we have migration plan, you should have a replication plan also, failure management plan, replication plan also, and you need to have a validation checklist also. Then only you can ensure everything is went smooth. And how to implement this particular replication and failover and disaster recovery, all these to achieve, we need two Snowflake accounts. One can be used as primary, one can be used as secondary. And what I want you to do is, I want you to create two different accounts by tomorrow. Then we will see how to replicate the data and how to implement failover from account to account. You also can do along with me parallelly.
Okay.
But create a free accounts of this 120 days accounts, which I already gave the link, right?
Yeah.
Where better create a enterprise accounts. Those enterprise accounts are sufficient.
Okay.
If you want to create a business critical account, create business critical account also. That's okay, no problem.
Okay. Okay.
Is it okay, Sunil?
Yes, yeah.
So you need to create two accounts, two Snowflake free accounts by tomorrow. Because I want to show you this replication process. I want you also to do parallelly so that it will be easy for you to follow.
Okay.
Why? Because when you are replicating the data and want to see the failure process and all, if you see on live, you will see that how to point to primary to secondary and all, then it will be easy for you to even implement in future. Are you getting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can get the same user like the enterprise or business critical accounts by using the 120 days link, and that will be fine. Okay.
Okay.
I'll share this PPT. Just go through this PPT once, and I will share the scripts also. If you have time, please go through the scripts and try to see what you can understand.
Okay.
Okay, that's all for today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.